Appetite for Life is underwritten by the Sazerac Company, makers of fine spirits including Sazerac Rye Whiskey, Herb Saint, and Peychaud's Bitters. Sazerac, the one and only New Orleans original. More information can be found at sazerac.com. Additional support comes from Tableau, located on Jackson Square, serving truffle crab claws, barbecue shrimp and grits, and tarts a la bouille. Lunch and dinner Monday through Friday, and brass band brunch on weekends. More information can be found at tableaufrenchquarter.com.
Welcome to another edition of Appetite for Life. I am your host, Tim McNally, and it's a pleasure to have you join us as we continue to explore New Orleans' love affair with the fine cuisine and top quality beverages. Tonight, we visit a real post-Katrina success story, Freret Street. Fret's journey from a prime shopping area in the post-World War II period to its decline to insignificance during the 1980s, and finally its rebirth as a dining destination after Katrina. We begin our story with a place generally credited with sparking the Renaissance, Cure, an upscale drinking emporium, the likes of which New Orleans had never enjoyed until its opening in 2009. Then we move down the street to one of the newest casual dining restaurants in town, Bar Francis, a quite contemporary design with drinks and menus firmly rooted in New Orleans traditions. Practically next door is Piccola Gelateria, bringing to Freret Street a decidedly European style, both in design and menu. Piccola features an ever-changing array of incredibly creative and delicious gelato, as well as Italian-style sandwiches, usually found only in northern Italy. It's all coming your way right now on Appetite for Life. Welcome back, Appetite for Life. Tim McNally, thank you for being with us. We're in a great bar that has a wonderful history, not a long one, but a wonderful history. Neil Bodenheimer is with us this evening. Neil, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
Great to have you, my friend. So let's start right at the beginning, which was after Katrina. Nobody in their right mind opened up a bar on Freret Street except you.
So I was bartending in New York when Katrina hit. I'm a local. And I had always kind of loved the idea of coming back, and I think as a lot of people felt post-Katrina that if locals didn't come back, who was going to rebuild the city, and where was the city?
Yeah, we were at the tipping point there. We didn't know if we were going to go forward or just fall away.
Yeah, and so you could see, I mean, I know just among my peers, there were so many people that returned to the city that had not lived in the city, because if you love something, this was New Orleans' time, you needed to come back. And I felt that call. And I came back about a year later, right after Katrina, and started working on opening Cure. And I had this idea when I was in New York, and it was supposed to be in New York. And so over time, we kept on looking around, and we had finite resources. And as we were looking, we'd go look on Magazine Street and say, well, we can't build it out the way we want to, and we have to cut corners here or there. And we kept on coming back to Freret Street. And we saw it as a blank slate. And
it was worse than a blank slate, Neil. It was a mess.
It was a negative blank slate.
It was a negative blank slate, yes.
So my business partner, Matthew Conkey, had always been in love with the neighborhood. And he found the building. And as we even actually almost signed a lease in the French Quarter. And I'm so glad we didn't, but we ended up here. And it's been a great ride. It was touch and go in the beginning, but we just loved what we felt like the street could be, and it's far surpassed our expectations and faster than we thought. Maybe one of the fastest developments in New Orleans history.
It was. And people point to Freret as with pride, which hadn't happened for 20 years prior to Katrina. The street really had tough days.
Yeah.
And it used to be a great shopping street and a great mercantile street. And but you came in and showed, hey, we can do business here and we can make a go of it. And the place is gorgeous, Neil.
Thank you so much, Tim. And we were so lucky that we were so sure. And being sure isn't always the best thing. And there are a lot of people that said, I was so sure, and it didn't work out. But I mean, we even had our friends and family come up to us and saying, you guys are going to go lose all your money. This is,
That's encouraging.
Had multiple interventions, but we just felt like it was a street that was going places, and there were a lot of reasons for it. But number one, we felt like that people wanted Freret to do well. People wanted to use Freret again. They just had forgotten about Freret, and it just needed the right kind of shot in the arm. And post Katrina, for better or for worse, there was so much devastation, and particularly in this neighborhood, that you didn't even know where to start. And sometimes it just takes one thing, one spark, to make something go and kind of reinvent itself.
One address at a time. Neil, the philosophy of Cure. You came in here with the idea of having a high-end cocktail bar where people could come in and have a properly made drink. But you based a lot of it on what had come before. You weren't here about inventing drinks. You were going to make the old drink sing again.
And that's exactly right, Tim. So we tried very hard to make sure that we were honoring the past before we could move forward. And I think that, in a lot of ways, is the story of New Orleans. There is always this kind of push and pull between preservation and progress, and it's like a pendulum. And we can't look forward without looking back. And so we've always prided ourselves on being able to make the classic cocktails as well as we can. And I would tell you that we make as many classics even to this day as we do our seasonal drinks.
I find that very exciting because you go into a lot of markets and you travel, you see them, all the big new markets out there, and they concentrate on brand new stuff, which really isn't all that good to begin with because they don't know how to make the basics.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, it's the same thing for cooking, for making drinks, for anything. If you don't have a solid foundation, you can't turn around and do forward-thinking stuff. And we've always prided ourselves on trying to make sure that no matter what we do, if it's not executed properly, that we're not interested in doing it. And it's like there's an old saying, just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it.
That's a good saying. I agree with that. Well, let's talk about these drinks right here that you have kindly put in front of us. I've been good. I've restrained myself so far because these drinks have been sitting here a moment. What is in the silver cup?
So this is a cobbler. And when we had Belloc on Lee Circle, we focused on the cobbler and low-proof drinks. So this is it's called the King's Cobbler, and it was originally made with Zucca, which was named after King Vittorio in Piedmont. And so it's strawberry and sfumato, which is a rhubarb amaro, and a little bit of lemon and a touch of sugar and mint.
That Amaro really comes through in that drink.
Yeah, and it's smoky and fruity.
Yeah.
And obviously strawberry and rhubarb are classic pairing. So it's this idea of taking some things that seem foreign and kind of pushing them together with one or two flavor ideas that are going to work.
You know what I like? I love the way the presentation here, and that's almost sometimes as important as the ingredients, but having that mint come up out of the drink like that, and that gets up your nose.
Yeah.
So that olfactory carries the drink through.
And that's one of the most important things about cocktails, is that sometimes, and particularly in today's world of Instagram and photos for everything, that people have a tendency to make drinks more beautiful than good. And a drink, everything has to have a purpose. And the mint has the purpose of the mint is strictly olfactory, and it is you activate the small pockets of mint oil in the bottom of the mint.
You spank it before you put it in there?
You rub it. So you take it, since it's a large amount of mint, you kind of go back and forth with it really gently. All you want to do is just activate it, and so the mint oil is active, and then so you put your nose in, you get that freshness, and then you get that kind of smoky, fruity kind of, it's pretty bright too because it's got a decent amount of lemon juice in it. And the idea is it's also pretty low proof, so you can have a bunch
Really
of
clean.
Yeah.
Really clean. Let's move on to this one because this is beautiful. This is a spectacularly lovely drink. Tell me what this is.
So this is actually inspired in two ways. This is inspired by Bar Francis down the way. I had a brunch drink there.
On Ferret.
On Ferret.
Yeah.
And so that's that they do a Campari lemonade at brunch, and I remember having a sip of it at brunch and thinking, wow, I never think about Campari for brunch, and it's perfect. And so this is a Cappelletti.
Summertime.
So this is a Cappelletti Collins. It's something that we do at the bar down at Cafe Henri because we don't serve brunch at Cure, so it's more of a brunch cocktail. But it's another low proof wine-based cocktail. It's Cappelletti Aperitivo, which is a wine-based low proof bitter, and then just a little bit of lemon juice and some soda water, and it's just divine. It's an easy drink, but simple, executed properly, and a little fizzy, and just something that you can have a bunch of them. I mean, we made that mistake in the early days of Cure. That all we wanted to do were brown and stirred cocktails, and we realized that they're, as much as people love them, you can have two of those before you're blasted.
You're done. Yeah.
And over time, and this is not just a New Orleans trend, this is a national trend, and I don't think it's going anywhere. People want to be able to have multiple drinks. I mean, having one glass of wine is great, but it's not easy. And same thing with a cocktail. So we have a responsibility to make sure people are drinking stuff that's at the appropriate proof for what they're looking for.
Tell us about Cure. Hours, location, website.
So we're at 4905 Ferret Street, which is right at the corner of Ferret and Upper Line. And we never had a sign because when we first opened, there was nothing else on the street. So we said, if you can't figure out where we are, through a giant window with bottles, then maybe you shouldn't walk in.
Yeah.
And then so we're right on the corner of Ferret and Upper Line, and we are open every day, and we go from 5 until midnight on Sunday through Thursday, and then we go from 3 p.m. until 2 a.m. on Friday and Saturday. Actually, we open at 3 p.m. On Sunday, we go from 3 p.m. until 12.
Neil Bodenheimer, the co-owner and proprietor of Cure, 4905 Ferret Street. Neil, always a pleasure to talk to you.
Tim, it's always my pleasure.
Thank you for sharing the drinks with us, and we love your spot as always. This is a beautiful place to come and have a drink, so you should do so. Appetite for Life, we'll be right back. Welcome back. Appetite for Life. Tim McNally, thank you for being with us. We are at Bar Francis on Ferret Street, one of the new places, and it is absolutely beautiful in here. We got PJ Rosenberg, who is the, general manager?
And owner.
And owner. Yeah. Oh, well, good for you, PJ. Congratulations.
Thank you.
A stake in the action, my friend.
That's right.
My goodness. I knew you back when, buddy.
Yes.
Yeah. This is fabulous. Tell us about Bar Francis. Where did the name come from?
So Bar Francis is named after my grandmother. My grandmother, who passed away before I was born. It was an homage to my mom, who was very close with her mom, who passed away when she was very young. My mom, who I learned about hospitality, who I learned about throwing parties, taking care of people, and so this is for her.
That's a nice thing to do, sir.
Yeah.
Particularly in New Orleans.
I think so.
We have a feeling for that. Our heart goes out to you.
I think so.
So what is happening here? What is your overall philosophy?
So overall philosophy is fresh food, Southern influence, a clean neighborhood space. We are wine focused, but we have a full bar. We specialize in classic cocktails, great beer selection, and basically the idea for us was Ferret Street was neighborhood restaurant that was doing something a little bit different than was already being offered on Ferret.
You do lunch, you do brunch, you do dinner.
We do. We do lunch on Friday and Monday. We do brunch Saturday, Sunday, and then dinner 7 nights a week.
But you're kind of there in the wine program. That's been your milieu.
Right. Wine has been in my life for a while now. Our feeling was that we wanted to take wine and keep it very approachable, but offer some things that were being offered only at a couple different restaurants around town. So we try to focus on a very old world wine list, very French focus, quite a few options by the glass. There's always something new to try. And then we've got our wine cellar here and our by the bottle list for, sort of always changing new arrivals coming into the city.
That old world thing is sort of what separates New Orleans from a lot of towns in America. We like old world wines.
We like old world wines a lot more than a lot of the United States.
Yeah.
Yes. We sell, I think, more French wine for the size city that we are than many other cities our size and even larger than we are.
I'm told we're on a par with New York as far as per capita.
I believe it.
I would too.
Yeah.
What do we have in the glass? Rosé. That's
So-
a hot beverage.
Yeah, it's very hot right now. So in the glass is rosé from the Canary Islands. So this is from Bermejos. This is a rosé of Listan Negro. And this is by the glass right now, and we're going to pair it with Chef Mimi's new shrimp and watermelon dish that we just put on the menu.
Gosh, that is so darn good. A lot of sharp edges in that wine. I love the definition that's here.
I think it's rosé that can go the whole meal, not just for sitting on the patio and hanging out.
A lot of your wine program is by the glass and by the bottle.
Yes, yeah, we have a wine cellar here. We wanted to have a wine cellar here, even as a small neighborhood restaurant, because we wanted everybody to know that we were serious about wine, that it was being kept and stored properly, and that we would always have some new things to offer.
PJ Bar Francis, give us an address, give us a website, sir.
Yeah, it's 4525 Ferret Street, Suite 107. Website is barfrancis.com.
We're going to talk to Chef Mimi Assad in just a second, and thank you, PJ.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Tim McNally, Appetite for Life. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Appetite for Life at Bar Francis. We were just talking to PJ Rosenblum here at Bar Francis, and now we've got the power behind the throne here at the table. Mimi Assad, the chef at Bar Francis. Mimi, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for having us in and for doing this beautiful work. This is pretty astounding. What are you trying to do here? Where are you taking Bar Francis?
Well, I think that my background as a chef started with me at the CIA, Culinary Institute of America, so it's classically trained French, really, background.
You on the East Coast or West Coast?
East Coast,
Okay.
New York.
You are classically trained.
So I was raised in a household that was French and Lebanese primarily, and so I grew up eating a lot of Middle Eastern food, but also had this like Canadian French influence from my mom's side of the family. So I think my cuisine now really reflects that, this combination of these two different kind of actually related cuisines, because the Lebanese and French were
Yeah, same thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, influenced a lot on each other's cuisine. So my stuff is really kind of a reflection of that, and that it's this marrying of those two worlds into kind of a Mediterranean style, I'd
And you
say.
get the fresh ingredients from this part of the world here.
Right, exactly. So it's these southern ingredients, like the watermelon right now, the beautiful shrimp we have. This is redfish on that plate. The kale comes from Covey Rise Farms. So we are really using the things that come locally to this area, and then using all these other flavors like sumac spice and things like that to kind of like really, I guess, make them shine on the plate.
And this is really a very healthy way to eat, isn't it?
I think so. I mean, I do love butter, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But as far as this dish, this olive oil, there's kale. The kale is grilled, so it's a much lighter preparation. It's grilled dry, and then I dress it in lemon juice and sumac and garlic and olive oil. So it is. And then the sauce underneath it is a roasted red pepper romesco, and it has hazelnut, olive oil, and sherry vinegar. So it adds the sharpness in that sauce, kind of cuts through the fattiness in the fish, and marries really well with the olive oil and other elements of the plate.
This is pretty typical of what we would see at Bar Francis. You're not pulling out any stops. It's very special just for us. This is on your menu.
Absolutely.
It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. all across the board. Are you doing you come in and do a little app program here and then as a customer, and then you go to the main course and then desserts? Are you involved in all of it?
I am. I'm involved in all of that. I think one great thing about Bar Francis is that you can come in and choose a bunch of small plates and eat that way, or you can do a more traditional progression of a meal with the appetizer, entree, dessert. I think a lot of our guests come in and they have all different friends with them who eat in all different ways. So we have, for instance, a hamburger on the menu for someone who's looking for a more straightforward kind of meal.
I didn't know that.
We do. We have a delicious hamburger.
I bet you do.
And so, because we really want to appeal to as many people as we can and be as friendly to this neighborhood as we possibly can, and be as inviting as we can.
Well, and at the end of the day, this is a neighborhood restaurant.
Absolutely.
Yeah, on Ferret Street. Well, Mimi, we wish you the very best of success here at Bar Francis.
Thank you so
And
much.
thank you for sharing your time, your dishes with us. I'm going to try to move forward and get into these dishes.
Enjoy.
But I'm going to do it off camera, though, to get a little clout. Mimi Assad with Bar Francis on Ferret Street. Tim McNally, Appetite for Life. We'll be right back. Welcome back, Appetite for Life. Tim McNally. We are at Piccola Gelateria on Ferret Street. Thank you for being with us. And we have Rhea Turnbull with us. Rhea, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having us.
Well, thank you for having us in to Piccola. This is pretty fascinating. You're brand new.
We are 6.5 months old.
In New Orleans terms, that's brand new.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And gelato, it's a hot topic. How do you make gelato? What is it? What differentiates gelato from ice cream?
First of all, this is a huge passion of my husband, Ross Turnbull, and I. Gelato is something that we enjoy wherever we go. And there was always a question of opening our own shop, and what is that going to be? With his culinary expertise, could have been just about anything from fine dining all the way to a small sandwich shop.
He's been a chef for a long time.
About 35 years or so.
That's a long time, yes.
So has traveled the world, has traveled the United States ever since 2000, when we met 17 years ago in Boston, Massachusetts. We have arrived to New Orleans 4.5 years ago. And only a year and a half ago, Tim, we decided to really step it up and go after our dreams. So gelato being such a trend and such a love and passion for both of us, we thought that may be such a great idea, because we didn't think that there is such a thing in New Orleans. We thought, again, there are a couple that do have gelatos in New Orleans, but we wanted to step it up and really bring something new, something that's not Creole, something that's not Cajun. We are all seeking something refreshing and new, and why not dessert?
Why not dessert, indeed? So the gelatos that you are doing, though, are not in the norm that we have become accustomed to gelato here in New Orleans. You're doing real European gelato.
We are. It is a Bolognese style gelato that we make here.
Bolognese
which means,
style.
Bolognese style means we do actually Ross adds egg yolk to it. So not even all Italian gelatos would have egg yolk. And when you add egg yolk to the ingredients, that adds richness and flavor to all of our vanilla-based gelatos. Also, in regards to gelato, differences between ice cream and gelato are enormous. You going for healthy choice as far as gelato. Ice cream is ice cream. We all grew up with ice cream, but again, how much do we know about gelato? We're trying to bring something new and educate our customers every single day what gelato is versus ice cream. It is not Italian ice cream, it is gelato. Italians call it gelato and they want to stay with that. But there are differences in regards to calories, fat, and just many other things. But again, 50% less fat,
The
less
amount of
calories.
dairy makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It is more milk added to gelato versus cream in ice cream. But again, as you can see, it is so beautiful, dense, flavorful.
I'm
and
sorry, Rhea. I want to hear what
why
you're saying.
don't we dig in?
But I got to get in.
Why don't we get in?
I can't talk about gelato and not
I
have some.
am going to
What have I got
tell you,
here?
you are going with Nutella,
Nutella?
which is paired with sea salted toffee. I got my very favorite, which is pistachio. So feel free to
Oh, it's
check
so
into
good.
that.
Oh my God. And that's the other thing that to me gelato is separated by is the intensity of the flavor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So when you, what we say, churn or spin gelato versus ice cream, machine itself adds 20% air to gelato, which again makes it dense and flavorful, where ice cream is between 80 and 100% air.
I'm taking some of yours.
Why don't you?
I am. It's so
You will
amazing.
never find pistachio of a quality that come where we get our pistachio, which is from Bronte region in Sicily. This is dynamite.
It really is.
This is meal on its own. This is full nutritional meal, basically, that has a lot of protein in it. So whether you are having strawberry sorbetto or you're having pistachio gelato, you get your vitamins, you get your protein, and you're all set. Why do you need lunch or dinner? This is your inexpensive lunch and dinner.
I love the idea of gelato as a health food.
Absolutely.
I love that idea. So while gelato, excuse me, gelato is your main focus here, you have sandwiches. One is sitting right here. That's an astounding looking sandwich.
This is something that, again, we are lucky and happy to say that we are the first ones and the only ones that serve piadinas in this area.
Now, what is a piadina?
Piadina is Italian flatbread, and it is only famous in Riccione region on Adriatic coast of Italy. So we were thinking of, okay, we open gelato shop, and is it only fair that we should be offering, or should there be something else and add to it? And we came up with this so-called street food in Italy, but so healthy and so wonderful and so flavorful. So again, the dough itself is just dynamite. This particular piadina is breakfast piadina that we made for you with rosemary ham, arugula, and stracchino cheese.
Oh my gosh.
It is amazing.
It looks
so
amazing.
again,
It looks amazing. And then I don't want to overlook the coffees here because you do your own coffee.
we do.
Espressos?
We do espresso. It is medium roast. Nobody else has the same coffee as we do because it is our own piccolo roast. So Ross was, again, just like everything else, he goes into major detailing with everything. And he spent at least a week in Vegas with a friend of ours selecting beans. And he has come up with 3 different beans, Brazilian, Guatemalan, and Colombian roast, that they put together, and we call it piccolo roast. Our coffee is roasted in Vegas and
Really?
flown to us on daily basis. And everybody is now coming for coffee. It's not just gelato, it's gelato and coffee.
So tell us about the shop, address, hours, things of that nature.
Again, 4525 Ferret Street. We are open 6 days a week. Monday is the only day that we close, and we keep it open 9 to 9 unless it's Friday, Saturday when we open until 10 p.m.
Ross and Rhea Turnbull. This is Piccola Gelateria right here on Ferret Street. Tim McNally, Appetite for Life. We'll be right back. We thank you for joining us tonight. If you wish to view this or other previously aired episodes of the program, refer to WLAE.com or visit us on YouTube. We will see you again on the next edition of Appetite for Life. Thank you for watching.
Appetite for Life is underwritten by the Sazerac Company, makers of fine spirits including Sazerac Rye Whiskey, Herb Saint, and Peychaud's Bitters. Sazerac, the one and only New Orleans original. More information can be found at sazerac.com. Additional support comes from Tableau, located on Jackson Square, serving truffle crab claws, barbecue shrimp and grits, and tarts a la bouille, lunch and dinner Monday through Friday, and brass band brunch on weekends. More information can be found at tableaufrenchquarter.com.